there are reports all around the country. We've seen it in New York, Houston, Atlanta, of ICE raids, which is weird because my understanding that we're being told is that ICE is only rounding up, as it were, people who have committed crimes. And remember, if you're in this country without documentation, you haven't done anything criminally illegal, any more so than if you've done something illegal by getting a speeding ticket. We have criminal law and we have civil law, and you can break the civil code by speeding or by crossing the border without documentation. But we're told that the only people that they're rounding up right now and deporting or putting into pens, right now, supposedly they arrested 1,100 people just on day one.
And Trump had been trying to say that those quotas need to get up to 1,200 to 1,500 a day. That was his directive to ICE that we talked about yesterday.
This we have the capacity as a country to detain about 40,000, maybe a little bit more, undocumented immigrants. And then we have to start making mass camps. And maybe, they feel like they can do that within 45 days or 30 days that it takes.
Texas is sure signing up.
But I'm sort of just wondering, why would all these immigrants who have committed crimes hang out together? That they can be rounded up en masse. Are we talking about there are 1,100 different operations happening per day to arrest these? Or is it like there's these clubs where immigrants hang out? Hey, if you've committed a crime, let's hang out here together at the local immigrant committed crime club that we set up.
Which, it's so convenient, but those are often in churches and schools. Human shields, obviously.
That's where we're going to hang out. We don't know exactly who's being picked up and deported.
And
we just don't know.
They're claiming they're criminals, and there's a lot of people taking that at face value.
Oh, yes, of course. And then there's some brave souls who are joining them, the ICE operations. And here is Dr. Phil.
He's running for governor of California. It seems pretty clear at this point. That's my guess. He's going to run for governor of California. I mean, he's been making the media rounds in California. I even saw he was on TYT a few months ago being interviewed by them. So this is why Kamala Harris probably, if she's going to run for anything, should run for governor of California, because she'd have the name recognition to go up against him. And I don't want a guy like this leading the biggest state in our country. Katie
Porter, please. But here is Dr. Phil doing his, what is the name of this propaganda show? Is it Dr. Phil's Propaganda Hour?
It's on Merit Network, which I think is his
own
Merit.
Network. Okay, good. Yeah. Right.
Well, we just arrived in Chicago, and I'm getting ready to meet with Tom Homan, and we're going to brief what's happening tomorrow, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, go over all the security protocol, because it's a pretty high risk mission that we're going on. This truly is a targeted ICE mission, because they're not sweeping neighborhoods like people are trying to imply. I know that because I've been involved in this heading into this. They've identified 270 high-value targets. And what I mean by that is these are known criminals and terrorists. We're talking about murderers, child traffickers, child rapists. We're talking about bad actors, both in the countries they've come from and since they've been here in the United States. Some of these people have 12, 15 arrest indictments, some convictions in their home countries and here, but yet they're on the streets. And that's who ICE is targeting to bring out of these communities. So we're going after specific targets, not just sweeping neighborhoods and picking up anyone with a tan, anyone that looks like they don't belong here. Anybody belongs here. One thing I've learned about Tom Homan.
Pause it for 1 second. You know, the president the other day said you could just look at people and know their trouble. Didn't he say that?
I mean,
did we ever pull that clip? Didn't the president say sometimes you can just look at people, if you know what I mean, and tell their trouble in terms of immigrants.
Right.
Interesting.
This is just a little. Can we go to the second part? He doesn't say too much more here.
I want to hear just a little bit more about this so that we can remember in our minds that they're just going after 270 murderers and child traffickers. 270 in Chicago. This is just on day one tomorrow.
Anyone with a tan, anyone that looks like they don't belong here. Anybody belongs here. One thing I've learned about Tom Homan since I've come to know him, but he's got three objectives. One, close the border, get it under control. Two, get the criminals, the dangerous people out of the communities and off the street. And three, rescue these missing children. There are over 300,000 missing children.
Pause it. This is just a huge effing lie. The first part also is a lie. Border numbers, when Donald Trump came into office, were actually lower, border crossings lower than when he was in office the last month. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the Biden policy on that, but that's just the fact. And then this 300,000 number, it will take you about 20 seconds to Google this and find that how Dr. Phil is lying. There was a report by the Department of Homeland Security that said, we don't know where these 300,000 children are that have come in. But they also haven't looked for them. They're not missing. They also don't know where I am or where Emma is,
right,
or where Bradley is. They don't know where you are either. That doesn't mean you're missing. It means they're not looking for you. They have no reason to. And the idea that when children who have crossed the border, 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, whatever it is, have been placed with family members, that there's some reason to believe these family members are necessarily child traffickers is racist to the core.
And the claim about these people being here illegally, the New York Times reported that the DHS memo that was given to ICE agents includes the ability, as we've talked about previously, to expel immigrants who have come over lawfully via the CBP-1 app, which we talked about was an app, one of the modernizations of this process that was actually a decent thing that the Biden administration did on this front, where people could apply for this status under humanitarian parole programs through the app. More than 500,000 Cubans, Haitians, Venezuelans, and Nicaraguans entered the United States under that parole program. And an analysis showed that the programs reduced illegal entry from those four countries by 98% over 2 years. So all the Biden administration needed to do was provide a modernized system for people to apply. And yes, the wait times were way too long. It was far too backlogged and difficult in terms of getting people across and processing folks. But it reduced the illegal entry by 98% over those 2 years from those four countries that I just listed, because they uploaded their biometric data there. They uploaded all their information. You were able to get background checks. You were able to verify who these people were, which is exactly what the right says they want. But it's just racism. So everybody that's saying that, oh, look at how much people support the mass deportation of criminals, they are lying to you by omitting the fact that they're just classifying almost every immigrant that they decide to classify as criminals because of their status, because they just decide to immigrate here.
You know, I wish we could talk to an immigration lawyer right now to find out this story about whether we have all these people are criminals. Calling from a 509 area code.
Hey, Sam, this is Ronald Reagan.
Oh, my gosh. I was just talking about how I would like to be talking to an immigration attorney.
Yeah, I'm going to maybe retire from that job. I'm going to launch a shitcoin and maybe like some sort of dirty catchphrase.
Well, I'm glad we got you before you did that. This claim that Tom Homan has with these ICE operations that Dr. Phil, who is an actual maybe partial doctor, so of course knows about Tom Homan, apparently also was wrong about that 300,000 missing children thing, but I guess he didn't hear that on Newsmax, that they maybe made a correction. What can you tell us about this as an immigration attorney?
Yeah, so one thing they're trying to do, obviously, is to make all the enforcement efforts really, really public. So I saw that, Trump did a Instagram post with pictures of the people they're arresting and salacious details about their criminal history. And just to be clear, like, if you've been convicted of rape of a child or all these types of things that they're talking about, there's never been a time in the history of the country, as far as I know, that ICE wouldn't aggressively be pursuing your deportation, whether it's Bush, Obama, Biden, whoever. Mm-hmm. The difference, I think, on those cases is that Biden never did like an Instagram blast, about those types of enforcement efforts. But it's definitely not true that those are the only people who are being targeted. Two things. One of the groups that's at the highest risk of being removed right now are people with prior removal orders, because their deportations are fairly quick. They don't have a lot of rights. They're subject to what's called mandatory detention. And so I've already seen people who are on orders of supervision with ICE who have, their only crime is that, and there's lots of ways to get a removal order. It could be at the border. 25 years ago, they caught you in a certain way, and now you've been deported. And maybe you came back the very next day and you've been here 25 years, but because you have this old removal order, they can just deport you without much due process. There's people who got ripped off by like a notario or a bad lawyer, and they ended up in removal proceedings again, maybe years and years ago. And because of this, they've got some removal order, but they've never committed a crime. But these people are easy pickings because immigration often, knows where they are. They're non-threatening. These are not. It's actually like maybe a little bit of work to go get somebody who's an active gang member or something like that, and like that's actual police work. Yep. But if you can go get the lady who was ordered removed in 1999 and has never committed a crime in her life, that's going to be a lot easier. And then obviously, like something that you see all the time with ICE that was really only avoided during like the last half of the Obama administration and during the Biden administration is collateral damage, in quotes. So maybe they show up at a house and they're looking for, this guy who's got some conviction or something. And their policy is basically to arrest whoever they find. And so there is some of that happening. I do think it's true that they're not going, door to door doing neighborhood sweeps and things like that. Like there is some target in mind, but it's also true that they'll roll up other people along the way. And then the other interesting thing, they published some enforcement priorities the other day. And it really seems like they're going to try and take everyone who entered on CBP-1, even if they have a pending asylum application, even if they're, they've done everything according to plan. And at least according to what they published, it seems like their plan is to actually get rid of their notice to appear in immigration court, take them out of removal proceedings, put them in expedited removal proceedings. And this is basically a way to take everyone who entered on CBP-1 and expedite their deportation. Now, like lawyers are asking each other, how, like, is this even going to happen logistically? It seems like a really weird thing to publish. Nobody really knows yet. But my guess is that Trump is at least a little bit sensitive to bad headlines. And there is some, it's just the fact that if you came in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, you're less likely to have a bunch of kids here or ties to the community. And so they might see that as a way to juice their numbers, get their numbers way up, and to deport a group of immigrants that they see as like less sympathetic. But we'll see, because so far none of that has happened. But they did publish an enforcement memo saying this is what we want to do. So we'll see.
What is the normal amount? 6 months ago, what was the daily amount of ICE arrests? Do you know?
Yeah, so I don't know. I've seen what other people have published, that the numbers so far haven't changed all that dramatically. I think the big difference is, it's just...
They're publicizing.
They're publicizing them. And, the bottom line is ICE has existed in its current shape and size, since 9/11 or whenever it came into existence, and definitely over the last 4 years. And it's not like those agents have been sitting around doing nothing. Like, there's ICE, there's Homeland Security Investigations that investigates all these kinds of things. They've been doing that stuff. And what Trump does is he comes along and he gives them permission to go after these other folks who are just working and minding their own business. And
to be clear, I think we saw this last time. Those are the easier people to arrest. The opportunity to not arrest criminals is easier because these guys don't want to go into a firefight. They would much rather go in with their guns and know that no one's going to fire back at them, so they can be even that much, feel even bigger in their britches.
Right. And the last thing I'll say, we talked about this a little bit, I think the last time I called, but you had Congresswoman Jayapal on the other day and asked about this amendment to basically add the DREAM Act to the this horrible law that they just passed. And she said, oh, yeah, that's not going to, nothing's going to happen with that, because we also tried it last year for the border bill. And I'm an immigration attorney. I get emails constantly from all these organizations about what's happening. And I try to stay plugged in. And I never heard about that effort to inject the DREAM Act into the border bill. And even the one that happened this time, I just stumbled upon it. It wasn't like a news release or anything like that. They quietly, quote unquote, try to get something into a bill, and then someone quietly says no, and then they just forget about it. And I'm tired of the Democrats coming out and saying, well, this isn't who we are. We shouldn't be deporting these people. The bottom line is this: these people are being deported because the law says they can be deported. And if you're in Congress, you are a lawmaker. You are the people who can actually do something about it. You could change the law. And I know it's very, very hard, and it might be 4 years of pure messaging, knowing that you're not going to get anything done. But your job as a lawmaker is to propose a law, get up there, tell people what's in the law, what you're trying to actually make happen. And I don't want to hear well, this is real sad, and oh man, they shouldn't do that. Well, guess what? We failed these people since forever, but we have set up a system where we get to take advantage of people, we get to exploit them, and we also get to deport them whenever we feel like it. And until that system changes, this is just going to keep happening. So I really, really hope that someone on the Democratic side, get some messaging bills out there. Tell the immigrant community, Cuban, Colombian, Mexican, whoever, that we don't just think it's sad that this is happening to you, but we have a plan that would protect you and your loved ones and your communities.
Well, that
And
would
so hopefully-
involve having to make an affirmative case about immigrants and immigration. And it seems like the Democrats, at least for the time being, largely have declined to do so. That's basically
Yeah.
it. I mean,
And,
really for, from starting in late 2023, it seems like. They just never, ever made an affirmative case because it was too difficult. But appreciate the insight. I guess we will be talking more about this. I imagine it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rick.
And let me just say, before we leave this clip and go to a different clip of Dr. Phil, give me a screen grab of that, because one of the things I think is really important to note, that not only is Dr. Phil going out there and putting himself on the line, he is, no, could you not go get out of, I just want, screen grab. He's also, if you can zoom in on that, if you want to see the full live coverage of the operation that Dr. Phil is getting in, you're going to have to download the Merit TV app.
Oh, the Merit TV.
You know, one of the things that we have strived for here at the Majority Report is attempting to leverage human tragedy and the most fascistic and authoritarian impulses of our country. We've tried to leverage that into full adoption of our app, which is available at majorityapp.com.
Right.
So if you want to see, children taken from their parents, parents taken from their children,
Family
brothers,
apart.
family members torn apart, majorityapp.com, both an iOS and an Android version. So check that out. Meanwhile, if you don't have the Merit TV app, where you can see Dr. Phil going on these raids.
Remember Cops? Remember that TV show, which would often show police officers?
Of course,
on the
bad boys.
Yep, and it was
What you
usually
gonna do?
people in a domestic dispute or who were on drugs, and you would get to watch cops just arrest them, which is so gratifying for a certain segment of the population. Now you get to see a new version of that, but with Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil, I haven't seen this clip. Does he go up and punch out one of these criminals?
So according to the summary of the video, this is apparently an illegal immigrant who was accused of sex crimes or something. But obviously, I have no idea
If
the
we can
validity of
verify
any of that.
It's a good thing that they're blocking out everybody's face except for this.
And the person himself
Yeah.
is being apprehended, and Dr. Phil and Tom Homan speak to this person.
Okay, let's go see this Dr. Phil on a immigrant raid with Tom Homan on his special proprietary app.
What's your name?
Seder?
Seder what? You have a first and last name.
Sam?
Seder Sam?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
You've been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported?
But I've been in the system before.
PMB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with
Charles Fair.
before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not talking about lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom says that.
Your mother's a citizen,
Yes.
but you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
You Dr. Phil. Look, Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got illegal.
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me!
How do you know me? How do you know me?
This is suspicious.
Yeah, how do you know me?
Do you want
I'm only been on television.
do you want
30 years.
autographs?
Yeah. What? You know me? I'm your worst nightmare. You must have seen me.
Come
in
over here, I'll
nightmare.
grab you by the lapels, buddy.
Yeah. How do you know me? I'm only a public person that's also has a camera behind me, aiding this immigration raid with the fascist president and his ICE goon.
I love the fact that like there was this presumption that like, you know, like he's going to barely be able to talk. And meanwhile, the guy's like, I want to see my attorney.
He's like,
why
I know
don't
you
do this on
because
TV?
I'm basically American because I've been living here, because my mom is from here, and because you're a cultural figure here, not because I'm afraid of you, you freak. It's like he's
You've
trying
been
to
looking
cloud
out.
this guy in suspicion. He's
I
having
see
the
you've
most
been
normal reaction ever.
Trying to avoid me, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tell me the truth. Haven't you been able to trying to avoid me?
And independent of any of the details, he's probably, I wonder if this guy's also like, why is Dr. Phil here?
Well, I mean, he's
My
probably
worst nightmare.
so like this is disgusting. I just want to say. I mean, the way
I'm
that
your
like
worst nightmare.
he's probably having an anxiety attack.
Dr. Phil, what a great journalist, too. He really got to the bottom of this. And
Oh,
he had
he
to
wa-
wait for
yeah.
Tom Homan to step in like he was like, moms love palm olive. You know, like it's just crazy. This
Right.
is insane. Go ahead.
Yeah? How do you know me?
How do you know?
But you're not?
Which channel do you watch me on?
But you've never been
Hold
deported
on for
before?
1 second. Stop it. Do you have the new Merit TV app? Do you have the new Merit TV app? Is that where you know me from? The new Merit TV app, available on your app store, also for Android and for iOS.
Yeah.
Is that where you know me from? From your $2.95 a month commercial-free membership on Merit TV app?
Because I gotta know, it's like one of those drop-down menus when you're checking out. It's like, how'd you find out about us through through word of mouth or through social media? It's like he has to know this for how he can direct, his advertising.
Did you use the coupon code PhilRaid for a 1 month free on the Merit TV app? Is that how you know me? God.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
You Dr. Phil. Good, Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Pause it.
Yeah.
You mean, wait a second, you tell me you never came in for an appointment? I didn't see you as a doctor? As a real, actual doctor?
How else would he know you,
How
idiot?
do you know me? Have you been tracking me? Are you going out with your own TV crew and trying to follow me?
You're one
Is
of
that
those
why?
bad hombres?
Again, but you don't watch me on the Merit TV app, do you? Okay.
You Dr. Phil. Good, Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Good stuff,
This is
Dr.
exactly
Phil.
what
Yeah,
this is,
yeah.
right? You got it.
Oh, wait, are you telling me that you have access to a television? Is that it? Okay. So you watch TV, in other words. Okay, Tom, maybe you should step in.
An illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children. And he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really? And never been deported?
Nope.
Let's take him in, process him, lock him up.
Got it, sir.
All right, can you get a passport?
Working on it.
They have all these trucks and vehicles there to take Dr. Phil to the hospital. He looks like he's like on last legs here.
I mean, I think he's just like really bewildered by the fact that one of these illegal aliens might have consumed my content. Do we have any evidence that this guy is a sex offender?
Hey, listen.
Only thing I've seen is from
To be-
the caption of the video on Twitter.
To be honest, even if he has been charged with this or accused of this or even, had done this, it doesn't mean that this kind of like gratuitous content where people get off on seeing somebody get arrested and deported is healthy for our society. And he should probably still have all of his full
Well, this
rights
is just, I mean, here's the
in
point.
our legal system.
This is all propaganda. I mean, as an immigration attorney who just called into the program, told us this was all going on during the Biden administration, though maybe they didn't have 43 vehicles and a film crew and Dr. Phil to ask the dumbest questions in the world. Tom Homan, I literally had to step in and go like, Dr. Phil, if you don't mind, I don't want to, but this is becoming an embarrassment for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What a disgusting, I mean, Dr. Phil, what a, Jesus.
He's going to run for California governor, mark my words.
How do you know me? Okay. Good stuff.
It's like J.D. Vance talking to those
Wait,
people
is
at the
he
donut
like?
shop.
What is Dr. Phil supposed to be, like a psychiatrist or something, or
I'm
psychologist?
trying to look that up now because he no longer does have his license.
He really worked some special psychological hocus pocus on that guy.
Or maybe it's like just it's gone like defunct. But I need to look up his license stuff a little bit more.
So his Wikipedia here says, and I'll see, I'll make sure I can, I'll substantiate this, but it says he has a doctorate in clinical psychology, but he ceased renewing his license to practice in 2006.
Okay, there we go.
Why should I?
You know me.
I'm going on a bunch of ICE raids instead. I'm gonna try and get inside the mind of these criminal elements. So, how do you know me? When you say you know me, do you really know me? Do you think?
You don't know
If you
me.
get, are you a Merit TV Plus subscriber? Because that's when I start doing my Ask Me Anything segments. Is that how you know me? Maybe you're a Merit TV Plus Premium subscriber, where I retell my dreams I had the night before. Just sort of let everybody know what my unconscious is thinking. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Did you want to talk to the camera?
Did you want to step in here?
Did you want to do the police work stuff? Okay. My God, we have really hit the wall in this society.
Yes.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.